Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. It's time to take a slight break from WoW, just for now, don't worry, and talk about the games that I'm currently playing. There's quite a lot out there right now in gaming, so if you've been tunnel visioning into World of Warcraft, then now might be one of the better times to explore other options during the gap between the tail end of Warlords of Draenor and, of course, the launch of Legion. I might do the odd video here and there about some other games because a bunch of MMOs have got decently interesting things going on with WildStar's free-to-play, new expansion for SWTOR, and then there's this thing Black Desert Online, which is an MMO from Korea that looks really impressive. But of course, don't worry, World of Warcraft still very much the main thing of this channel. Anyway, first up on our list, we have Starcraft II. Starcraft II is easily one of my favourite games, especially when it comes to the competitive ladder. With the Legacy of the Void being very, very near on the horizon, I figured it would be a great time to get back into the fray and start practicing. I used to be high platinum, though I'm currently working my way up through Silver League after about a year and a half of not really playing the game that much. Legacy looks really great, and it's adding loads of cool new features to the multiplayer, which should be really exciting. I'm a bit wary about their changes to macro mechanics, but it looks like Legacy should be a really good shot up the arm for the game. The campaign's also really fun, so if the stress of the ladder isn't really for you, then there's a lot of game to be found in the campaigns. Both of them are very, very good and easily worth the money. Actually, speaking of money, I think as of the day this video goes up, it will be the final day of a 50% off sale on both StarCraft II and Heart of the Swarm. Moving on, we've got Halo, the Master Chief Collection. This is a bit of a strange one because, well, it's on the X-Bone, and that's not normally a thing that I do. The main reason why I don't play console games is because 30 frames a second is just a rubbish experience in comparison to what I can get on PC, and controllers are just rubbish for shooters. They're great for loads of other games, and I have a controller for my PC, but for shooters, they're not really the best. Well, Halo Master Chief Collection runs at 60 FPS, and I control it with my Zim 4. Now, the Zim 4 is essentially a controller emulator which takes the inputs from your keyboard and mouse and then converts them into those of a gamepad so that your X-Bone can understand them. Now, it's not perfect because you're still limited to what a controller can do at its maximum sensitivity, but it does make it a lot more comfortable for me to play. And a shout out to Taryn Gregory, who is actually the man behind a lot of the in-game cinematics for World of Warcraft. It's basically off his recommendation that I picked one up. Now, the Halo series itself is something that I sunk countless hours into when I was younger, so reliving all of that with improved controls, better visuals, and at 60 frames per second is just an absolute treat. Master Chief Collection had a bunch of launch issues though. They mostly seem to be ironed out at this stage, and it definitely overall plays quite well, smooth frame rates, not that many connection problems. Overall, it's a pretty solid experience. Now, certainly if you have not played any of the Halo games before, and you have an Xbox or access to one, this is a really solid bet because you get 4 games in one price, 5 if you bought it on launch because of some tomfoolery and people getting free DLC as an apology for the game basically being broken, but you get a lot of game for one price, excellent campaigns, and the value for money here it's just crazy, and I still think Halo is one of the best team shooters around. Yeah, it's not CS, it's not one of those crazy Twitch things, but I think it's an excellently designed FPS that really rewards team play, which is absolutely something that's great when you're playing with your friends. Next, we've got Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. I'm playing through this in small chunks, and honestly, I don't really see how it's got such glowing reviews. I mean, it's certainly a very, very good game, but the narrative feels kind of thin considering the franchise's pedigree. Now, from what I hear, they ended up having to cut a lot from the game, which is why a lot of the stories contain in audio logs and things like that. However, the core gameplay is very good, especially if you commit to doing a stealth run. And, while the story is a little bit sparse, it is still very interesting, and even though I don't have the most extensive knowledge of the Metal Gear Solid universe, it's a pretty cool universe, and some stuff ties in really nicely. Overall, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you can get it under the £45 cost that it is currently, and certainly it's an interesting enough curiosity. That said, it doesn't compete that well with some of the other games that I'm playing, mainly Halo and StarCraft II. Next up, we have EVE Online. This is probably the wild card of the pack. Right, EVE, well, look, this is EVE, there's not really that much like it. It's a space sandbox MMO that truly is a sandbox in terms of the freedom that players are afforded. It's complicated, harsh, punishing, and because of that, very, very, very rewarding when you do well. I've been doing some exploration and a little bit of space trucking on the side, though my character is also fitted out to do some basic mission running on a Drake, which will mean nothing to you unless you play Eve. Anyway, it really is entirely different to something like World of Warcraft, even though they both are MMOs. Death really matters. Like, you lose your ship, you lose its cargo, anyone can be attacked at any time, though if you're in a high sort of security region of space, you'll get killed by the space police. Overall, though, there's a lot of risk, a lot of reward. It's got a very complex and vast economy in which just about everything is crafted by players and stuff like that's going on, and things such as logistics are actual real worries, hence me being a space trucker for a while. Now, once you leave the high security sort of central space systems, you get into nullsec. Now, this is where there's no NPC police, and the game is truly player-driven. Nullsec is where just about all of the game's largest battles occur, the kind that you've even seen on websites like the BBC, because they've been that feckin' big and interesting. And those battles are generally spurred on by kind of the political ambitions of various player-owned alliances who are controlling over territory. There's lots of stuff going on. Overall, EVE's very cool. As many people say, it's often the coolest game that you'll never play, because to a lot of people it just isn't fun, and I absolutely get how people find EVE to not be fun. For me, I find a good bit of enjoyment out of it, but it's very much a subjective thing. Next up, Diablo 3. So Diablo had a pretty large patch which tweaked some aspects of the game, starting with them bringing in a new season, and it's also added a few new features. I generally hop back to Diablo 3 when it gets a major patch, and I mess around for stuff, with stuff for a while, and then I just stop till the next patch. I know that seems really pointless, but it's kind of decent fun, and normally I like to try out a new class every time I come back to keep things interesting. With this patch, I rolled a wizard, though the footage you will see is my monk, which I'm actually having more fun with. And I guess there's not really a great deal else to say about Diablo 3. I suppose the new patch brought a thing called Kanai's Cube, which is a really interesting addition to the game. It adds just a new layer to what goes on with your pickups and your materials, which is great. But other than that, it's Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. You know what it is. There's been a few tweaks, a few new items, but that's really it. Still, Diablo 3 is always fun to hop into for a few days. And finally, I'm just going to include World of Warcraft here at the end, because technically it is still something that I play on a daily basis. By play, I really mean that I fire it up to get footage for videos. Luckily enough, I kind of enjoy doing that because I think the world's really pretty, and hopefully that's something that comes out in the World of Warcraft videos that I do. As for the game itself, well, look, there just isn't a great deal to do. It's generally the case that this happens in between expansions. I think it's been a lot more so with Legion, but that's neither here nor there. I've already talked about that stuff. My raid team is dead until the next expansion, and the rest of 6.2 just doesn't interest me. So in terms of what I'm doing with my characters, I guess I'm on a bit of a break, which I think is a good thing. It means that by the time the Legion Alpha or Beta hits, I'll be able to go in with a clear head that isn't burned out and that is just ready to find enjoyment and sort of bring an opinion that isn't tarnished by, just general saltiness or something like that. Now that said, I have been leveling up a few characters here and there with the storyline add-on that I covered in a video a while ago. That has been a good bit of fun, but it's not really been a main focus of my gaming. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I just thought I'd fill you in on the kind of stuff that I'm doing in my downtime. Recently I got an office, which I may show in a video or something like that, because I know people are generally interested in setups. But because of moving into an office, it means that I get about 2 hours in the evenings to just play games, which is honestly really nice. And as a hobby, I've been enjoying gaming a lot more. So I just thought it was worth sort of sharing what I'm doing. As I said near the top of this video, I might be checking out some other games like Star Wars The Old Republic, Black Forest. It's not called Black Forest, it's called Black Desert. Forests and deserts are different things. I'm also thinking of checking out Guild Wars 2 and of course WildStar for its free-to-play transition, because I hear the free-to-play patch is bringing a new starter experience to the game. That's something which I'm very keen to see, because I didn't think the starter experience of WildStar was really the greatest thing ever. But anyway, that's just random happenstance. The next few videos are going to be probably World of Warcraft, almost definitely. I mean, I've got them written and recorded, so hopefully. And I'm also, just as a little addition at the end of the video, I'm currently working on the transmog competition sort of workflow and pipeline. Right now, it's really complicated. It's using Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Cinema 4D. If you want to know what look I want to be shooting for, look at the Origin 300 series showroom videos from Star Citizen. If you're into that game, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I want that, but for transmog. It should be really cool. Anyway, that's the games I'm playing. A quick update. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.